Snowy or icy sections of games can often be hit or miss to players. Most of the time, it would seem that simply adding the slippery mechanic is what does it in for many. Heck, I've gotten pretty frustrated in games like Banjo-Kazooie for that very reason. But also, I suspect that some players just don't enjoy the atmosphere of an icy land or dungeon, even in Zelda. As a Floridian who believes our weather is overrated and overglamorized, it is not a tropical paradise. It is hot, muggy, and contains roaches the length of your hand. The thought of a true winter sounds lovely. Maybe not driving in it, but the romantic idealism of it is what gets me most. For this reason, I tend to enjoy areas of games that feature snow more than most other players, I think. And since it's supposed to be winter right now, although it was about 80 degrees Fahrenheit at the time I wrote this script, I want to go through, discuss, and rank all of the snowy, icy themes throughout the Legend of Zelda series. Hey y'all, I'm the Geek Apprentice and welcome to a Zelda music discussion video. If you'd like to see more videos like this, I've got a playlist full of them right here. As previously mentioned, I'm going to be ranking all of the themes from icy/snowy areas and dungeons throughout the series. To be sure, however, I'm probably missing a few. I did try my best to go through every single Zelda game, both 2D and 3D, to find and listen to all of the themes, but there were a few that no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't find any music for them. They were all 2D games, and I believe it's because all of the ice-themed areas you go to multiple times and they're not always covered in snow, but reuse the same theme. In other words, the music isn't specific to that icy feel. Anyway, all of that to say, this list consists of 7 themes that I'm going to be ranking in order from least favorite to favorite. Without any more dilly-dallying, let's get to it. If I am truly and brutally honest, I don't like this piece. Don't misunderstand me, the tune for Snow Peak Ruins from Twilight Princess is well done. The higher soprano glockenspiel signifies the snowy part of the dungeon accurately, and the melody itself echoes the quirkiness of this temple's inhabitants to a T. I just personally don't enjoy hearing it. I find it too repetitive, and that escalating note sequence makes me feel a constant anxiousness that isn't earned, and I don't like it. Again, I'll emphasize this is not a poorly made theme, just not one I'd like to hear often, if at all, hence it being last place on this subjective list. Ocarina of Time is a game chock full of masterfully crafted pieces of music, and while the Ice Cavern theme is most certainly a potent and thematic composition, it's not top tier neither for the game nor this list. But unlike with Snow Peak Ruins, I do actually enjoy this song in healthy doses. Yes, it's decently repetitive and lacking in layers, but that's actually not a strike against it, as the place for which it was created is not somewhere that requires too much from its backing track. The Ice Cavern is a mini dungeon, taking you very little time to complete. And unlike the other dungeons, there doesn't seem to be much in the way of lore behind its existence. The theme does what it needs to do, provide a pleasant sound for your mini adventure there, perfectly capturing that extreme icy cold feel. The ambient musical vibes of the Hebra and Tabantha regions of Breath of the Wild are eerily delightful to me. I've noticed they do seem to be hit or miss for most though. I can understand this as the piece doesn't have too much to it, yet is used for a pretty far-stretching area of the Hyrule map. 2 big areas in fact. However, for me, I enjoy it for how well it showcases the feel of the areas it's used for, barren and cold. Those 2 adjectives alone ought to evoke unpleasant feelings, but not for someone like me who adores the cold and the snow. Much like with most of the themes from Breath of the Wild, I take no issue with the simplicity of the music, including this one. It's definitely more pleasurable for me to listen to than the Ice Cavern from Ocarina of Time, hence it being placed just above it. The theme for Snow Peak from Twilight Princess has always seemed so deep to me. I feel as though if you heard it without ever having seen the region for which it was created, you'd imagine a place that is cold, dark, and mysterious, which of course is exactly what Snow Peak is like. The instruments used I find most intriguing as it definitely sounds off-kilter enough to befit a Twilight world, but normal enough to be a normal world, if not a little eerie. Adding the backing track of ominous vocals and you've got a deep meditative piece to listen to as you trek the harrowing blizzard mountain of Snow Peak. How is it that such a terrible game, in my opinion, could be blessed with music as epic as this? I mean, come on, that's just not fair. Triforce Heroes' Cavern theme, and a few others as well, is a phenomenal sounding piece. Right from the get-go, it disturbs you with its off-kilter tones and instrumentation. Makes you almost anxious to hear it, so I can only imagine completing an entire dungeon with this as your background. Yet, it's not finished. The theme continues with a more Celtic sounding melody in the middle, which is a running theme in a lot of the music from Triforce Heroes. I am baffled this piece exists in a game like Triforce Heroes. Color me impressed. The only reason it's not higher is because I don't think it sounds icy enough to warrant any higher placement. But 3rd place is nothing to turn your nose up to. I already talked about the theme for Snowhead Temple from Majora's Mask in my Ice Dungeon video, and at the risk of seeming lazy, though I actually just think what I wrote doesn't need much editing, I'm going to reuse that script for this deservedly 2nd place piece. The musical theme for Snowhead Temple from Majora's Mask really puts the chill in chilling. Koji Kondo could have just made a theme reminiscent of the Ice Cavern and maybe gotten away with it, despite this being a full dungeon, but we know him better. He chose to match the urgency of the dungeon first, and the tempo and scattered phrases of music build that sense of anxiety. On top of this is the instrumentation used to match the icy atmosphere. Rather than the deep drums and percussion usually associated with the Goron tribe, we get rigid soprano, almost mechanical vibes instead. And some creepy vocals too. I don't care if those get reused a lot, they work. Finalizing that icy theme is the grounding of the wind blowing in the background, but oddly enough, not a high-pitched whirring, but rather a deep and low blow throughout. A nice contrast and definitely all around a well-crafted icy theme song. Right off the bat, the Ice Ruins theme from A Link Between Worlds is painful to listen to, but in the best way, exhibiting the classic instruments that are so often used to evoke that ice feel, while also clearly presenting an ominous atmosphere. It's just shy of giving us that nails on a chalkboard feeling, barely not crossing that line so it's tolerable and almost enjoyable. Then there's that transition into a more playful tune, a lighthearted feel that so befits the world such as this. Then shifts right back to the creepy and the ominous. Dare I say, it sounds like this piece sparkles? I know it's meant to be reminiscent of shining icicles, but still, it's an odd thing to describe. A most well done icy piece, rightfully securing number 1 on this list. So that is the end of my Icy Themes ranking list and discussion. Let me know in the comment section below if you agree with how I decided to order them. And if you enjoy the video, consider giving it a thumbs up and joining the geekdom by subscribing. And if you do, keep an eye on that community tab, as sometimes I'll just post random funny polls. And also, I tend to keep it pretty updated as to what my stream schedule will be like weekly. Thank you so much to every single channel member and patron, especially Joking Batman, Lorulian Sheep, Geek Mom, and McToppler. And speaking of support, check out this long sleeve tee from my new line of listings on my merch site. Link will be in the description below. Consider checking it out. But anyway, that's all for today. Thank you for watching.